Okay, I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, March 10th meeting of the Evanston Preservation Commission. We have a quorum of, can I count? Seven members, which is sufficient. So in terms of proceeding tonight, anyone who wishes to speak needs to be signed in. If you haven't already signed in, now would be a good time to do so. The procedure will be each applicant will have the opportunity to present their application and to explain the background for their request. We'll then ask if any member of the public wishes to speak to the matter. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes. And then members of the commission, we have an extraordinarily long list of items tonight. I think the longest I can ever remember. And most of them, I think, don't engender any controversy. So I would ask that we try to keep discussion to a minimum. I think we were figuring we could be out of here within like 3 hours if we kept each one until 10 minutes. So it's a challenge. So, all right. So the first matter of old business, 1204 Sherman Avenue, my understanding has been removed from the agenda. The applicants are submitting a new application that would likely be heard next month.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. The next matter of old business was 318 Hamilton Street. Is there anyone here to speak to that? No? The applicant didn't come last time either, so I think we should remove it from the agenda.
So that would be no, because that would be the second time only.
You want us to continue it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Susie, you want to make a motion to continue?
What's the date of the April meeting, Carlos?
Is
14.
April
14th. I move to continue 318 Hamilton Street to the April 14th meeting.
Second. Elliot, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all were in favor. The first matter of new business is 555 Lincoln Street, which is a city project. So I think it's really just an advisory review only. Although
Chairman,
we will vote on it.
Actually, we're looking at the rules and procedures. The application actually requires a COA. We had a previous version that the city project would be advisory, but with the new revision, they need a COA.
Okay, great.
Hi, my name is Shane Carey. I'm a project manager for the city in the Public Works Department, and we are here to present it's a part of a renovation project for the water plant in the laboratory that's in the water plant. And I'll hand it over to EC.
Yeah, my name's Isamu Kimura. I'm an architect with McGuire Glusky and Associates, and the project is the project's an interior renovation of the existing lab, about 1,300 square feet. In support of the renovation, we're putting a rooftop unit on the green roof adjacent to the laboratory on the north side of the. It's kind of the north side of the complex of buildings. So. Have a packet of images and drawings we could look through.
We have it on the screen.
Okay, yeah. And additionally, we're putting in a exterior stair on the east side of the building, so small exterior stair. So the first slide shows a site plan aerial photo, so along with the second slide showing where the work is occurring at the building. And photos of outlining the work areas. Some supplemental information with the product for the screen for the rooftop unit, and just some images of what the metal stair will look like. Drawings, so site plan, area of work, a close site plan showing all the scope and around the building, elevations of the screen. So the panels on the screen are about two feet tall each. It didn't really show up too well in this rendering, but each panel is two feet tall, high, with I think a 1 inch reveal. just a diagram to show the line of sight from the nearest public way, Milburn Street to the north. So I think that's the last image, right? So,
Okay.
yeah, that's it. That's the scope.
Okay. Are there any questions from the commissioners before we ask if there's public comment?
Can you describe that material? I didn't quite understand it, and there's no image that really showed.
Oh, there's a supplemental image that actually does show an installation, kind of a brochure page. It's about a 5-inch thick panel, clad with 14 gauge steel, which will be it's a pre-finished steel on one side, the side that is, I guess, exposed to view, and then a perforated panel on the other side, and so it's filled with an acoustic insulation. And then, as I said, it was 2 feet. 2 feet. The dimension is 2 feet. So we'll have 5 panels, make it a 10-foot high enclosure.
There's no large elevation of that?
Well, you could zoom in on the elevations on COA. I think it's 303. And then you could also, Carlos, if you could go back to maybe there's a few slides back. There's some product information right there. So it'll look like the image on the right side, kind of next to the yellow circle. There's an image of an enclosure that has been done somewhere, along with standard colors selection on the left.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Why don't you have a seat and see if anything else comes up? Thank you. Was there anyone from the public signed up to comment on this application? No. Any discussion by the commission before we hear a motion? Okay, would someone like to bring a motion to approve this matter?
Are we approving or for a COA?
We actually do have to
We
issue a
actually COA.
COA. This was, the agenda was incorrect.
We corrected ourselves, yes.
You want me to do it,
Go ahead,
Ken?
please.
Okay. Is there an easy way to summarize all of these items? I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 555 Lincoln Street for the new rooftop mechanical unit, in addition to a concrete pad and visual screen. Applicable standards include alteration 1 through 6 and 9. Is it right? Oh. And the removal of the existing exterior stair and exterior door, and installation of new stair and door to accommodate the raised flooring.
Second? Julie, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so everyone was in favor. Thank you. The next matter is 242 Greenwood Street.
All right, hi, I'm Jeffrey McGrath. I'm the property owner at 242 Greenwood. Basically, I've got a non-historic house in replacing non-original windows in a historic district. The wooden windows at this point are rotting out, the big picture window in front of the house. So I need to replace it before the glass falls out. Replacing it with newer windows, basically trying to make it look the same. The windows are, I think, there for you to see. That's about all I have. Any questions?
Just, wait a second, does he have the controller to? You want to
Those are, you can advance with
Oh,
the.
I have it here.
Yeah, why don't you just show us the windows you're replacing and the new windows?
Okay, so this is the picture window that's being replaced. This is the side of the bay window that's being replaced, the two. This is what's currently there. This is from the outside. This is from the street on Forest Avenue. A little closer up. And these are the specs on the windows.
So the windows that are being removed are wood and
The center one is wood, the two on the side are vinyl.
okay, all right.
The wood in the middle is rotted out and the frame's twisting and
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
I just have a quick question, and I was just looking at the sections of these windows. So where is the mullions? Where do they occur? Because they're not in the sections. Are they,
these you're looking at, or what do you mean by mullions?
you know, the divisions?
Yeah,
So are they like on the exterior and interior, and then you have a,
it's in the middle.
STL?
They're all in
Oh,
the
it's
middle.
in between two
Yeah,
panes of
between the glass, yeah. Right now, the one just has sort of a wood thing on the outside stuck on the glass.
Are the present ones single glaze or double glazed?
Currently, that's, the ones on the side are the same. They're double pane glass with the divisions in the center, and the picture window is double pane, and they've got kind of a wood grate stuck on the outside. So it is all one pane of glass.
So did you look at a window where you got an SDL, which, you know, you had a thermopane window with the muttons on, with the divisions on the front and the inside? So that you, when you see it through two panes of glass, you know, I understand that they're vinyl windows and that's probably what they're doing now or they're stuck on, but did you look at those windows? Did you look at different windows where you could actually see the mutton on the inside and the outside, so it wasn't between two panes of glass? It was on the outside.
Just, no, I didn't. But that's what I have now, or essentially it's on the inside, so I
No,
was
they're
replacing.
yeah, they're vinyl, but you're, yeah, I understand.
Basically just making it all consistent.
Yeah, I think we prefer that, that's called an SDL when you have them on the outside, or it's a true divided light, which I don't think anyone would be, I don't know, I wouldn't be asking you to do, but I think the windows where the mullions appear to be on the outside of the window are something that preservation, or we have historically looked at. So.
I'm sorry, could we just look at the proposed new window one more time?
We only have an elevation, I think.
Can I just get a clarification, Carlos? On the agenda, it says that it's replaced with a fiberglass picture window with SDLs.
That's what I was told.
So is there a way that maybe we're confusing you on the type of, just because the agenda description describes a different type of mutton configuration than what you just explained to us?
Well, perhaps, again, that's from the builder, so I'm representing the builder. I haven't seen these windows at all. I ordered them, they're here, they're ready to be put in, I'm just waiting to get the approval.
Do we have the slide of what he's?
I just want to say, I would need a clarification on what the window is, because SDLs, I would approve that, but that's, personally, I would do that, but, so, is there a way to get that clarification? We don't have a section through it, and it does say something differently on the agenda.
Well, it's hard for me to answer that again, since I haven't seen the windows myself, but this is what the builder gave me, and he did the permit. So I would assume he filled it out right, but again, I didn't fill it out.
I'm a little confused. What permit, Carlos?
Well, people can apply for permit and wait until the commission approves the application or not.
Saying that you've purchased the windows and all the rest seems a bit premature.
You know, again, my mistake. I didn't know it'd be a problem replacing some broken windows, so I'm just trying to follow the rules. I'm sorry.
I mean, can we approve what the builder described in the application?
I wouldn't, I think we need a clarification. I don't think we have to wait for a whole month, but I think we need a clarification on what the window is. So, that's, or we could approve, I mean, you want to approve what's on the agenda, and if it isn't that, then he can't put them in?
What I'm reading,
It just like seems weird.
Carlos, what I'm reading here reads as if the double-hung windows on either side, which are vinyl, are being replaced with double-hung fiberglass windows and no mention of an SDL. And then that the window in the center, the picture window, which has supposedly true divided lights, which we're now being told doesn't have true divided lights, will be replaced by a fiberglass picture window, and that's the only one that's going to get the SDLs. Is that correct?
The picture window?
That's what I'm reading here. That's the way it reads in the agenda. You don't have a sample of these windows here.
No, I don't have windows. Just the picture.
I would just recommend that we need a clarification on what the window is. So, it's not clear from the description, and it's, unfortunately, I understand that you don't, yes, I understand that you don't have that information.
Which one do you need?
The pictures of the two windows that are like from the shop or wherever they are.
Okay. Okay, so there's one.
It's not an SDL.
Well, that's the vinyl one. That's the vinyl one, correct? That's the side one.
No,
No,
there
it
is
says
no
new.
vinyl one. The vinyl one's the
that's
one
a-
being removed.
See, it says new.
All the windows are fiberglass.
Oh, I'm
Says
sorry.
They're all fiberglass.
I mean, that's essentially identical to what he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go to the other photo.
And for that, then are you saying that the muntins on there are integral to the window there? Whereas like right now you have a pane of glass with an applied grid
Right.
kind of thing. And this one, then it's all integral. It's like one solid unit, not
Right.
like a pane of glass with an applied thing that you could take on and off. Okay. Okay.
I mean, I think I could put a grid on the outside of the one. I mean, no reason not to.
So the new one's not going to have an outside grid either.
I don't believe it does.
You know, they're all going to be just the grill between the two sheets of glass.
I think that's what we're seeing, yeah.
But I think, it's going to be consistent across what's there.
Well, they're not original. You opened this can of worms.
I mean,
Other than his bay window with the weird wood applique thing, it looks like what he's got is grills between the glass already.
Right.
Maybe we just need, I would just suggest that we have some clarification, because it just, you cannot tell from it's, okay, so,
okay, I'm sorry, but I guess the question is whether we can approve this, as imperfect as it may be, whether we can approve subject to verification back to Carlos that the description of what we're approving is correct.
I don't think that's,
What is it we're approving?
I mean, I think we have to ignore the written description and assume that what these photos are showing us is grills between the glass. I mean, that's probably what they are.
Hard to tell.
It is hard to tell, but I think we make that assumption, and if it's not, that's when it gets revised.
Are you suggesting that you might be able to use the SDL or apply mountings on the outside if you could?
I mean, I have the grid. I mean, I guess I could pop it off. It should fit, just put on the outside. So comes off, comes on.
Wait, you're saying you've got the grid from the old window?
Well, it comes off. It's just a wood thing that comes off the window.
That looked like it was pretty beat up,
It is pretty beat up.
so
I don't think that's going
I don't think. So you don't know if these windows can have an available exterior grid?
Again, I'm not sure. I mean, this is the window they have that they gave me a picture of.
I mean, I guess the question is whether there is anything we can approve so the applicant doesn't have to return.
I think we need a clarification, that's my opinion. Because we don't have it, so I don't know what we're approving. We're just approving what we think is there, so.
Well, even the description of what's there isn't correct in this
Yeah.
written.
I mean, we're going to approve, but I think it's really hard to tell what you're doing. Would it be too inconvenient just to come back next month and then we'll approve it just with the,
Yeah, I can come back. Obviously, it's an inconvenience to come back. Nobody wants to come back, but.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, the weather will be changing after that. and
Yeah,
hopefully
and again, I would like to get them put in just because with the thawing and the freezing, my glass has been sliding more and more, and I kind of have to go with the silicone gun and keep filling in the holes.
It would be possible for the company that's selling you the windows to come in and show us I mean, they probably have much better, sales literature or other.
I think
Actual
all we need is a section, I'm sure, of the window so that we understand exactly what it is that shows the mullion, not the section of the window.
Because, I mean, this is the brochure, but that doesn't
Right,
really tell you.
right. So it doesn't help us, but
Right.
that's what we would need. I don't think, I think that's what I would need. I'm just speaking.
I mean, from
One
what I
person.
understand, it's the grids are in between the glass. That would be what I would think is the thing to approve.
All right, well, I think we're going to continue it. It just, I mean, maybe he just wrote it up erroneously, but it does seem like a conflict between what you're requesting and what they wrote up for you. Could we have a motion to continue till our April 14th meeting? Elliot?
I move that we continue the case, the application for 242 Greenwood, case number 20 PRES 0014, until the meeting of April 14th, 2020.
I have a second. Ken, all in favor?
Aye.
Please say aye, all in favor. If you're going to come back, particularly without a sample, why don't you run by Carlos what you're going to submit for clarity? So that we can, he can act as a critic to help you make sure that it's clear so so we're done next time.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next matter is 1037 Ridge Avenue.
I suppose I will speak, since it appears my contractor's representative is not here. I am the owner.
Can you tell us your name, please?
My name is Jeffrey Barta. And quite simply, my home, it's on Ridge. It's on the east side of Ridge, so therefore it is built into the hill, and we have a walkout basement, and I am seeking to replace the 6 windows behind the fence on either side of my basement. So they are, all lower level, none visible from the right-of-way, and I am unsure as to whether they are original or not. However, they are wood. I'm seeking to replace them with a vinyl product that is of similar, if not exact, dimension. And, frankly, the basement is not heated, so doing this in the, basically for energy efficiency, also to, prevent, cracking of finishes in the floors above. Because, we have the freeze thaw and so forth. Additionally, the current windows, I believe there should be a picture in here. The current windows have storm sashes on them that were added probably shortly before I purchased the home. I purchased the home in 2013. And so as far as from an appearance view, whether the windows currently installed are original to the house or not, the view is obscured, and we have an aluminum storm, panel sash window on them. So, basically for those reasons, not for appearance, but we're looking to match the appearance as much as possible without the storms. We will not be replacing the storms, which will match the windows of the rest of the house, because the rest of the house does not have storms. And again, similar dimension, just looking to modernize, to extend, the life of the home. This would be from the north side of the house, not facing the street. This is the rear, which would face the alley. And we've got a separation of probably 65 feet or so from the alley. These are from the north side. Again, these are all behind a fence that's at the front of the property. And these are somewhat obscured by the landscaping and so forth as well.
So, I'm sorry, the 5 windows you wish to replace are?
Six.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, it said 5 on the.
There's 3 here, 1 on the back, 2 on the north side.
Questions?
So wait, because it says something, so are they existing vinyl windows that you're just replacing with vinyl, or is it existing wood? Okay, it says something on one of these.
Nope,
some-
they're
Okay.
wood windows,
Right.
undetermined if they're
I
original
just-
to the house.
Okay. It just says on here, replace 6 vinyl double hungs with same size and style. So it sounds like they're vinyl, so I got it.
Nope, no attempt to mislead.
Understand.
Susie, did you want to, I'm sorry, you're just looking this way. Okay, why don't you have a seat then, thank you, if there are no more questions.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Was there anyone member of the public that was here to speak to this matter?
I would like to speak. I filled out I put my name outside. Should I do it here too?
Could you tell us your
Sure.
name?
I'm Michael Mertz, M-E-R-T-Z. I live at 1035 Ridge, the house immediately to the south. And I'm here to verify a couple things. One, these windows are not visible to anybody probably but me and my family, because they're not visible from the street or from the alley because of the fencing in the garages. I'm here to verify that I was in the house when the prior owner put these storm windows in, and they actually look significantly worse than they did before, and that I think that this will actually improve the appearance of the house as well as the function of the windows, and I fully support it. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Discussion by members of the commission?
So,
Susie, no.
so I know I actually am probably one of the biggest sticklers when it comes to windows. But since this is going to be in a salting zone, it's going to be in a snow zone, it's at the basement, it's not visible. Even I would say that I would find that this to be an exception to the rule, since it's not visible from the public way. And I do not think a wood window would be appropriate even with an aluminum clad down in this type of zone. So I'm shocking myself by saying it, but I actually think I would approve a vinyl window in this application for this specific case.
Any other discussion? No. Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve? Susie, you want to make the motion to approve since you spoke so eloquently on its behalf?
I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 1037 Ridge Avenue for the replacement of 6 double-hung basement windows on the north and south side facades and 1 first-floor double-hung window on the east facade with vinyl double-hung windows in the same openings and same size. Applicable standards include alteration 1 through 6 and 9.
Second?
Is it 6 or 5? Isn't it 6 total?
I think it's 6 total.
It's 6. So there's 6 plus 1?
No, there are 6 in
It's 6
total.
total.
The motion was for, you said
But
6
that's-
on the north and south. It's 5 on the north and south, and I'm just trying to correct the motion.
Right, there are
I think
3 on the
it's- we could
south, 2 on the
stand
north,
amended.
one on the
Correction, say
east.
5 plus 1.
Correction. I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for 5 double-hung basement windows and 1 first-floor double-hung window with replacement vinyl windows. Applicable standards 1 through 6 and 9.
Okay. I'm sorry, now Julie was seconding? Julie seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all were in favor. Thank you. 2763 Eastwood Avenue.
It's a double glazed foursome.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Greg. This is Damon. We work for Renewal by Anderson, a division of replacement windows for Anderson Corporation. Just want to go through a brief on what we're actually doing at the location. We're replacing 4 windows. Window size and style are remaining the same within the windows. The original windows did not have storm windows on them, but they were actually placed in, but the new windows no longer require the storm windows, so we won't have those. Of course, dual pane. Check rails are going to be traditional, just as they are currently right now, with the same width and also depth. And the sash ratio is going to be equal to, which is 1 to 1. Grill pattern is going to be full divided lights, but it's only on windows 1 and 3, and, 103 and also 203. The other 2 windows that we're replacing currently do not have full divided lights on them. So we assume that those windows were replaced at a different time, but they don't. So eventually, when the homeowner elects to move and replace the other windows within their home and stuff, then he'll have that option to either put the full divided lights on there, I'm assuming. Framing of the windows will be at 3 and 23 and 30 seconds, and will remain consistent with the current look and feel of the windows that you have currently right now. Keep in mind is that we're putting in a composite wood product, which has been already approved by you several times already.
Only twice.
Excuse me?
Only twice.
In certain locations.
Yes,
Only
not
twice, Carlos.
Yes, not several.
I say,
I just want to make sure that,
fine, good.
just to
So
clarify.
we're starting a trend.
No.
The limestone on the windows, of course, will remain the same. And of course, the color of the windows will remain the same too as well, which is currently white. Glass area in 103 and 203 will be at 30 by 50 and the same as the current windows that we have right now. And of course, the glass space on windows 2 and 1 and 202 will be at 45 by 62. Now, if I can pull up a picture, I want to show you something. The picture may not give you enough definition, but Damon will give you some smaller pictures right here that are a little bit more defined. Can you pass those out to every other person? Technology.
What you see is
Oh, that's not my.
the statement of significance. You keep going, keep going.
I don't think it's a, I'm going to say.
There you go.
Okay. These pictures, if you can do it for every other person, that way they can share. What we notice on this right here is that the brick mold that's actually on it, it's sort of similar to brick mold that's actually seated, that actually borders the windows right there. Those are the things that we don't want to interrupt to keep the integrity of the windows when we actually place ours in. So what we're going to be doing is actually placing the windows from the inside in, so we don't have to cap the outside or messing with the outside integrity of the windows. And of course, it's going to be very easy when we do it around here where the brick is. But I was concerned about that piece right there and these pieces that are in between the windows. So we'll ensure that we're not capping it or removing it or altering it in any fashion.
Excuse me, Greg, what elevation are we looking at?
Excuse me?
What side of the building are we looking at?
That is the west side. I'm sorry, east side.
East side?
East and west. The windows that we're doing, yes, they do have visible viewing. That's because there are slots on each side. The front of the home, we're not doing any work at all. So if it gets built up, then we're assuming that it's actually going to be covered, such as what you see right in this area right here. But all of this is, for the most part, an additional lot. And this right here will show how we're actually putting in the full divided lights on, which is going to be permanent on the outside, which of course will be the same color as white. But it will simulate the 3 windows that they have on the top of the windows too as well.
I think they're SDLs. Those are SDLs with the Fibrex.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, and the front of the home, and even on the side, I believe, there's another picture here. These windows here are not being altered at all. These are the stained glasses, and those are what really captures the
Side is-
uniqueness of the.
Greg, could you point out which windows on this elevation are being replaced?
Why don't we have a plan?
That one and that one right there.
And that's the west elevation?
Yes, and then this one and also that one there too as well.
These windows presently, I mean, from these photos, it's hard to see that they actually now have divided lights. Is that just?
The pictures that I passed over, it's right there.
It's only on this, the west, the
And
east side.
also right there too as well. But it shows up a little bit more on the pictures that's just passing.
Maybe. Doesn't look like. Yeah, but it doesn't look like it's a regular grid pattern.
It's a farmhouse style, so it's just 2 on the top sash.
Right.
Is that what you're putting in?
Yes.
Duplicated, yes.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, in the front, is that, I can't see any divisions in the front. Was it the same case there?
Stare like crazy.
Yes, there are in the front.
Really hard to see.
This right here, come in a little bit clearer. The pictures were trying to capture it all, we weren't able to get the.
It's really hard to
You
tell.
can see the lines actually in there too as well.
It's pretty hard.
There's just 2 on the top sash, just vertically.
On this one, you can see the 2 verticals.
Is this a landmark house? Because it says it isn't.
It is a landmark.
Okay, so the paperwork is wrong. I'm
Correct.
just saying, okay.
Right.
So can we see the statement of significance?
It's on the, if you go back to the, go back.
Yeah, it wasn't in the original packet, so maybe we could get a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
Can you go more?
Yeah, keep going.
To 2 more. That's it. Scott, can you zoom in a little bit, if possible?
I apologize, I don't know how to use this thing.
It's right or left?
No, you had it. Stop. Where'd it go? There.
Not working?
Just as we were reading it.
Okay. I don't know about you.
Ninth window, sparse but elegant. Beveled glass windows.
Thank you, Scott.
Sure.
Yeah, it
So it's the
doesn't,
stained windows and the bevel glass
well, the
windows.
stained windows aren't being touched.
Right. So, as you all will expect from me, but on a landmark home, I do not think that a fiberglass window is appropriate. So,
It's,
It's not fiberglass.
it's, yeah, we're not,
Five rocks, it's a wood composite window.
it's, yeah, it's wood composite.
it's still not a wood window, so.
Aesthetically, it looks identical to a wood window compared to what they have in there right now.
And I think that's an opinion of different, subjective opinion.
No, I mean, it does. I mean, it has the mortise and tenon joints here, or not miter joints like an aluminum clad wood window has. So, I mean, it does have more of a wood look compared to a vinyl window.
Well, let's try, are there any other questions for the applicant? Why don't you have a seat then? Thank you.
Poor Susie.
Were there any members of the public who wish to speak to this matter? No. Did you want to see I mean, we've seen the Fibrex several times. Did you want to? No. All right. Any other discussion? I don't know if Julie, if you wanted to.
No, I think here's the problem. So if the windows get changed on the front facade, then there's an argument that I'm just suggesting this to the commission, that if the Fibrex.
Why don't you have a seat, please? We'll give you an opportunity to come back up.
If the
one last time
Fibrex
after
windows
discussion.
are approved and then they're changed on the front, then there's this rationale that if we approved them, on the rest of the house, that then you go to the front of the house, and it is a landmark house, and so it is setting a new precedent for us, and I think we have to think about that. I think we have to think about that.
And I will say that all of these facades, I mean, I know the main front isn't being changed, but the two side facades are very visible from Isabella. They're not hidden by other buildings. It's a double lot. They're extremely visible to public way, so.
Okay. Would anybody else like to speak to, have anything different to add? I mean, if you'd like to.
Well, yeah, I do.
I'm
I
sorry.
think that, and I want to make a correction, because that notion of whether it would be several or two that came up on Fibrex, I think that this is something that we've discussed, that each of these are on a case-by-case basis, and that came up last month. That this does not mean, well, this is number 3, therefore the next person comes in and says, you've already done it 3 times, therefore we are going down the same slippery slope that I predicted a month ago, which is, well, now that you've approved Fibrex is now completely legit for all future window replacements. And I think that's what Susie's trying to get at here, that it is case by case, and it does have a lot to do with where it is on the building and what kind of building it is, whether it's a landmark, whether it's replacing. I mean, we just had vinyl windows here, but that was a case of both the basement and probably not a landmark structure as well. And I think that, this is an issue here of once these are in, and all right, here's 2, and then comes the next 2 at the back porch, or the next 6 at the back porch, and so on and so forth. And I think that's really the issue here, more so than anything else. I think we can't just say, well, we've already approved Fibrex.
Yeah, I mean, just factually, historically, we've generally disapproved Fibrex a large number of times, and we approved, I think it was one of your projects and another one where they were in, I mean, we were making an exception for non-visible locations. I think there was one, behind bushes, obviously basements, really trying to stretch to be able to approve some. But we've certainly never approved anything that was, visible facades of a landmark home. There's no precedent for that level of approval. Do you want to come up and say any final words?
I was hoping to come up. And thank you. The original project in the first project that we got approved for Fibrex was at 135 Main Street. And at that time, we did the complete home without doing the front. But the project had front windows on it. But during this meeting, when it actually happened, the board at that time said, yes, you can do the windows that are on the sides and the backs and stuff. And once I have the other owner of the duplex agree to do his front windows, then I can actually come back. So there's something in place for us to do the front of the windows that are visible with the Fibrex. And how do you say, the windows have to get replaced. There's no way around that they're not. And if they're not going to be replaced with Fibrex, then they're going to actually be replaced with a aluminum clad with also a wood interior. Our product is not only by far more superior than aluminum clad, but it gives the filling inside and out of wood. It's the only viable solution, especially because of our situation when it comes to heat and cold, but also to make sure that we preserve the outside of the house. And again, I know they've been trying to get it approved for 5 or 6 years. We finally got it approved last year, and so we've already set the precedents, and I know it's only 2.
You're a very fine speaker, but why don't we move on? We've got a long agenda, but thank you very much.
Heck, I ain't finished.
Why don't you wrap up then?
What is the issue with?
So I think we're not going to.
What is the specific issue with this? I mean, what kind of window would be approved?
A wood window, or a wood window with
What windows out there that have wood
then a
exterior windows?
wood window with aluminum clad. I know that you say it looks like wood, but it's not wood.
But either
It's
is
wood
aluminum clad.
imitation.
Either is
Landmark
aluminum
should
clad.
be replaced with in-kind materials, so wood. And I think we've all generally accepted wood with aluminum clad because of the environment that we're in and the climate we're in. But still, with a historic building and preservation, our standard 6 kind of loops us into materials should be replaced with in-kind similar materials. And imitation wood is not similar to wood.
It's not imitation wood. There is wood in it. It is a 40% wood and 60% proprietary polymer. Aluminum is metal, so how can aluminum look like wood? That's
Okay,
what I'm trying to understand.
we've got a long agenda, and it's
I'm just trying to make sense. I'm just trying to make
whatever disagreements there are, it's not for lack of having.
I don't think we
discussed
would
this
approve
extensively.
the aluminum clad windows on this project, just saying. So on this project, and people, yeah, there are wood windows being made.
100% wood?
But I don't even, I've seen nothing to display to us that the distress is so bad that they have to be replaced. So I'm not even over that. Like, I'd like to see
windows, so they're not
pictures
energy
of rot. I've redone my own. Like, it's viable to fix them.
Unfortunately, with a single pane, restoring a wood window is really not an option because of the rot that's happened since the home was built in 1923. And that's why most people are getting the windows replaced currently right now.
Okay, thank you. We need to move on. I mean, we understand the issue. It's under constant discussion by historical preservationists across the country and constant reexamination, and it's something we're constantly talking about. So we appreciate the difficulty of the issue, and thank you.
Just one more question, if I can.
We
Is it
need to
because
move.
it's a
We've given you
landmark or it's
lots
not
of
in the
time.
zone?
It's time to move on, sir. Thank you. I think we still need a motion to approve, whether anybody will. I'm not- Okay, please do, Elliot.
Okay. I move that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of 2 double-hung wood windows with true divided lights on the east facade and 2 double-hung windows on the west facade at 2763 Eastwood Avenue, which is case 20 PRES 032. And they would be replaced with double-hung Fibrex windows with SDLs, simulated divided lights. Applicable standards, alteration 1 through 6 and 9.
I'm sorry, we need a second. Ken will second. All in favor? All opposed? I think all were opposed. Thank you.
Before we move on, can you please list what standards have not been met so that we will have a
I don't
report?
have the sheet.
I know 6 is one of them, Carlos, for the materials.
Carlos, do you have the sheet? I don't have it.
I also believe that standard 1 loosely applies with the minimal alterations.
It's primarily 6.
6 is the primary one.
Yeah, it's number 6. That's alteration.
I mean, I think 6 really covers it very well. I don't think we really need another. I mean, it says deteriorated architectural features shall be repaired rather than replaced. In the event replacement is necessary, new material should match the material being replaced. So, I mean, I think that really covers all of it. Okay.
You were saying number 1 as well, Susie?
I only said that number one was loosely because, as Jamie said, if the windows are still viable and could be restored, then minimal alteration should be made to the landmark home to restore the historic materials.
Okay. Standard number 6 is not met.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to 2323 Lincolnwood.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Venamore, Venamore. I'm here with Matthias Jans. We are representing the Nords this evening in this project. So the scope of work is basically focused on 2 windows. The project is being driven by a kitchen remodel that the homeowners are intending to do on the house. The 2 windows in question are actually aluminum casements now. They were not done by the current owner. They're not 100% sure as to when those windows were put in. It's an addition from some decades ago that was put on the back of the house. So the part of the house where this work is occurring is not original to the home's construction in 1928. However, the majority of windows that are on the first floor currently are wood double hung. So the goal of this project is to remove 2 windows, one on an elevation facing Lincolnwood that is some 60 feet back, 70 feet back from the front property line. Pull out 2 metal casements that are there, replace it with a single wood double hung with STLs. And then on the south elevation, adjacent to the neighbor's driveway, that window that is also an aluminum casement now, that window is intended to be replaced, and based on how the nature of the kitchen works out now, that window will be replaced with stucco that's on the existing house on that side. So that window is coming out completely and will be just replaced with like materials that are on that south elevation now. So again, 2 non-standard, non-original windows to the house are coming out and being replaced with a solitary wood double hung with the intent to match the style of the existing house.
Could you show us the photographs and any renderings?
So, front of the house.
Andrew, there's a pointer there too.
On there as well?
On the top. Then I do a star.
Oh, thank you. Front elevation, as I mentioned, you come down this elevation here, so it's 40 feet to that front corner, another 30 or so feet down from the property line. Then that window is the one that's going to be replaced on the front elevation, and then here is the window on the south elevation that will be replaced. So that one is coming out entirely. The replacement there will be stucco to match the existing. The idea behind replacing this window on the front elevation was actually trying to mirror the adjacent window that's in the dining room, another double hung with 6/6 pattern. So the idea is to replace that to match that style that's there. That is actually that is a wood double hung. Whoops, that is a wood double hung there now, but it has a storm window over the that's kind of painted into the frame over the top of it. So this window will be intend to match this, and the window on that south wall will be removed entirely.
And I'm sorry, could you just show us what you're replacing it with?
So actually, there's an additional photo of the window that's coming out on that south elevation. It's adjacent to a sunroom in the rear. So there is the 6/6 on the front, replacing the double casement there. You can see there pulling out the casement and replacing it with the stucco. And then here's the wood window that we're intending to replace the solitary window right there. Sure. The front? So we are in that, so in the layout, let me just go to the layout. It is, and I was just about to explain why. So if you kind of see, there's the old window. There's the old window. Here's the layout in the old kitchen. So the sink was over adjacent to that window in the front. So by reorganizing the way the kitchen lays out there, the sink's actually being pushed out to look out through that sunroom out onto the backyard. The idea behind increasing the depth of that window and sort of moving it away from the corner of that interior corner there was to give a little bit more light into the kitchen.
Okay, questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Were there any members of the public here to speak to this matter? Any discussion? Nope. Would someone like to bring, we'll go on this side. This one, would somebody on the left side like to bring a motion to approve?
I move we issue a certificate of appropriateness for the case at 2323 Lincolnwood Drive, including replacement of one existing non-original casement window in the kitchen wing addition with a new aluminum-clad wood double-hung 6/6 window, and the removal and infill with stucco of an adjacent window on the south elevation. Standards 1 through 6 and 9, and demolition 1 through 6 apply.
It's not clad.
It's not clad, it's wood.
It's not wood.
It's
Ah.
wood.
I will amend that to
Take it
indicate that it
back.
is a true wood double-hung window.
They're removing the aluminum clad.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Was that you?
Second.
I said yes. So.
I'm sorry, I didn't see Jamie voted aye. Okay, everybody voted aye. All right.
So that was 7-0, right?
Yes. 1733 Asbury.
I'm Sue Metzel. Been the owner of the house for the past 26 years. We have, over the many years of this house, have endeavored to repair the porch over and over, and it's, I think, reached its final life. Many of the railings, the railings are sort of warped. We've gone through each of the balusters with ballpoint pens. My future son-in-law, who had suffered a knee injury, actually pulled the railing away from one of the pillars where we realized how rotten that was. But it's just gotten to the point where we think the porch needs, the only kind thing for the house is to give it a facelift and approximate what is not actually even the original porch, because in the 20s, I believe, sleeping porch was added. So the pillars were not original to the house. But,
So-
and this is my contractor who's come up with.
So what we're proposing to do is,
Oh, excuse me, can you tell us your name, please?
I'm Glenn Schwall. We're proposing to replace all of the front porch material in kind with real wood, decking boards, spindles, handrails, posts, railings. The round columns, we're proposing to replace with permacast columns. Everything, all the wood will be red grandis, which is a hardwood similar to mahogany, good for exterior use. We'll be replacing stair treads, also risers and skirt boards.
The balusters will be manufactured to duplicate the original balusters, but increased in height for
To meet new code.
to meet new code.
So we're matching the exact size of handrails, bottom rails, spindles, decking, posts, crown molding. All of the wood products that are being replaced are being matched for size.
I'm sorry, did you have a drawing of the new porch? There was like a Photoshop photo that was hard to read.
Here's the new and the old spindles, which are the same. Here's the sizing of columns. The original deck structure is staying as is. We're not altering it, changing it. We're basically refacing everything.
I think if you go back to the elevation that has the existing and proposed side by side, yes, that one. So to the left is the existing, and to the right is the proposed. So the major difference would be the height of the rail, which is now being replicated, but increase in height to meet the code. And the other difference is that instead of the wood columns on the left, they are proposing the permacast columns. They're also rebuilding the front stairs, and they're to the left of that, they are completing the side stairs, correct?
The handrail on the side stair, which is currently the top left is the side stair currently.
So there's no railing on this side, okay?
Correct, so we'll be adding posts and handrails.
Right. So the reason is in this particular meeting is because, one, they're changing the height, and two, they're not replicating the material of the columns, which is wood to permacast. For the obvious reasons, they need to meet the code. As far as the permacast, I understand that they will be very close to the same painted, right?
The size, the original column on the left were 10 inches at the bottom, 8.5 at the top. The permacast is 9 5/8 at the bottom, 8 1/8 at the top. The wood column on the right is 9 inches at the bottom, 8 1/4 at the top. So it's a bit smaller. And the wood manufacturer, or the column manufacturer, when I reached out to them, they basically said they're made for interior use. If they are used outside, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they're going to rot out, and they will, definitely.
And obviously, it's a supporting structure now that we have a porch on, instead of just a roof.
Okay, other questions?
Do the permacast columns, can they support the floor above, or you'd have to have another structural post inside of it, or how does that work?
They can support, it's on the blueprint, each column can support 14,000 pounds, and the architect calculated 4,400 pounds per post.
Any other questions? Thank you. Are there any members of the public here to speak to this matter? No. Any further discussion? Could somebody please make a motion to approve? Julie, please.
I am approving. I make a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the property at 1733 Asbury Avenue for the front porch renovation, including replacement of the front porch decking, handrails, spindles, posts, and columns, which will now be permacast to match the existing handrail, will meet code and will be based on the existing handrail and spindles. And the applicable standards are for alteration 1 through 6 and 9, and the demolition 1 through 6.
Second, Elliot. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All were in favor. Thank you. 404 Greenwood Street.
I'm Susan Regan, architect for Nancy Siegel and David Melton. So let's seen all that. So yeah, that's their house on the corner of Judson and Greenwood. And the existing porch, original columns and balustrade. It's not too visible because of some bushes right up close, but I think there's, well, you can see the lovely balustrade looking out. So Nancy and David have lived in this house for years, I think since '85, yeah. And the porch has always been like this. They did not create the enclosure that is within the column and original column and balustrade. So they've enjoyed it like this for however many years, 35 years. It really needs some repair. I think there was some photos that start to show that. And the window structure is, the best, that might be the best view. So there are certain of the window sections that operate, so they're used to having that as part of this every season but dark of winter room. In order to operate those windows, I mean, even though that looks thicker, like the divided lights have been.
Susan, there is a pointer at the very top, the star.
There.
Yeah.
See how that's a little thicker? That's just the full pane is that, and they swing up and hook to some hooks on the ceiling. Pretty. When I realized I was sitting under that, I jumped up and moved pretty quickly. So the idea is, that it's time for them to do a lot of repairs. Some of the balusters look really in need, and that to put in a new window wall structure to replace the existing, but not change the appearance. So I'm going to go back. Yeah. So the new window wall would be in that same plane set back from the balusters. And this same vertical divisions visually and repeating those horizontal mutton bars. So yeah, that's what we're proposing to do. There's no changes other than repairs to the original columns. They're actually, the sides are faceted. You can kind of see that there. So yeah, none of that look is going to change the balusters. The hope is to just repair as many of them as possible. If when access can be made to them, if there's something that needs a little bit, just can't be repaired, it would be replicated in kind by millwork, and of course all wood. So the windows that we're proposing to use is a sliding system. It seemed very inappropriate to have anything that swung out because that wouldn't maintain the porch look. And for the size of the windows and everything, that seemed very appropriate. And there is a manufacturer who still does that type of window in a gliding window in wood. And that's what you see in your packet. So it's all happening in the same place instead of the windows hinging up attached to the ceiling, which needs some help too. It's the sliders over the fixed units in the same configuration as you see there. So, which in some ways is good because if you had to raise the height of those balusters, it would really wreck it. So the glass enclosure kind of lets you keep the original, really the original look, even though you can't really see it in those photos of the balusters, the low, you see it there. So. Oh, yeah, there's a section. Oh, yeah, so that's the existing, and you can see I did it's where those hinge up. So that's the existing front elevation and the plan. So that's what you get on the interior, and you can see how that window wall is behind the porch structure. And so that's existing on the east. And then this is what we're proposing. It maintains the daylight, actually gives you a little bit more, and the divisions of there's the plan, and set in the same distance, and there's the east elevation. And these wood units, they're really interesting. It's a single screen, so you can operate them either way. So the screen actually it'll look more like when the screens are in, which given the access to this, they'll be up most of the time. It will maintain more of a screen porch look. Okay, here's a section. So you can see we're keeping all of the heights. You can see it set behind the baluster, maintaining the original heights. Original is on the left, so you can see how they go in now, and then you can see the new operable. And they're wood, and insulated glass.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't understand. There's a screen and the glass.
The units
Yeah.
come with a screen. So, because they're operable window units. just,
Is it a separate track for the screen?
if you look at the,
Go back to the, I think it's on the weather shield detail.
so the double is up on the top right, and you can see that's a single screen across. And then on the triple is below. So the north elevation is the triple, the 3 wide, to match the original. And the east elevation are the 2 doubles.
You know what, so here, it's hard to look at your section because it doesn't really clarify how, so here's a question for you. It's not detailed enough because now that you're doing bypassing sliding panes and you have a unit below that's not, do you actually know what, the question I have is the detailing at the head on the inside. If you drew a section to show, I think you're going to get a much deeper sill. And at the head, what? Yeah, at the head, because you're going to have the 2 panes slide by each other, and you also have the screen. So I think that the section really, you need to draw it and detail it at the head and where it hits the door. From the outside, it's not the issue. I'm just saying, in reality, I think you might need to fully draw that section. And where it hits the door, that's,
the door.
yeah, the front, because it's much deeper than the single pane below. Right now, all of the glass section, it's all in the same plane, because it just lifts up. This lower sash of the frame and the upper one, but now you're having actually a sliding section of window in front. So that's going to basically be a different section and deeper. Yeah, I understand. So I'm just,
Well, they're actually going to be in different planes.
right, and so you get a deeper frame for it, so.
But I've got another question for you on the side where you have the 3 units. Go back to your plan. Sorry.
All right, I'm going.
Okay, right now, next one.
That's existing.
All right, right there. I don't understand how you're doing this, if this thing works. And it's not. Let's try one that has a battery, maybe. Nothing's working, yeah, there. If this is sliding,
Yep.
and that is sliding, how do they both slide? Because.
Well, you only can do one
No,
at
no,
a
no,
time.
well, that's why I don't understand why you actually, why there isn't just one
Fix.
operator.
That's how the
Two of them
unit,
could be fixed.
that's how the unit,
I think they.
You'll never have more than one open at a time.
right, but that's the unit. It really, that's how it's manufactured.
Yeah, they might as well have just made the middle one operating and move it to either the left or the right, because you're not accomplishing anything. There's no point to having 2 of them operate.
It's just, yeah.
It's an odd,
if
because
you-
normally a slider, it's either gonna go one way or the other.
Elliot, if you ganged units, you'd have a thicker,
No, I think they could have just had a single operator, I'm not sure. Well, they're already changing the appearance. That's, I think, Julie's point.
No, from the outside. I just think you should I think you should just carefully draw the detail through the head, all the way through the bottom sash. This is beyond my commissioner duty, but I'm just telling, I think that would be a good thing, so you could see the head and the relation as it moves into the corner and the door.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, hi. Are you also replacing the tongue and groove floor on the porch?
It does need to come up to sort of investigate what's going on with the structure below, because there's something going on. So it does need to come up, and, in a perfect world, you could just remove what you needed to, but that's not gonna happen. It has way too many layers of paint, so it's a replacing kind. Yeah, it'll be the same, it's 3 1/4 tongue and groove wood.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on this matter? Thanks. Any other discussion? Would somebody like to make a motion to approve? Elliot, would you like to?
Wait a minute.
You
I already
looked.
did one. I've already done my bit for the day. I make a motion that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for 404 Greenwood. I believe it's a landmark and in the Lakeshore Historic District. Case 20, Pres 028, to replace the north and east, well, the wood balusters of the side porch if necessary, but primarily to replace the existing fixed and hinged top window sash window wall that is set behind the columns and balusters, with a new wall to be constructed essentially in the same plane as the original, using double glazed wood sliding fixed units, well, above, and double glazed wood fixed windows below, with a mutton pattern to match the existing. The operable units will have screens, applicable standards for alteration 1 through 6 and 9, and demolition 1 through 6.
Second? Beth? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All were in favor. Thank you. 945 Sheridan Road.
Hello. Hi, I'm David Sussler,
And I'm Christina Martini. We are the homeowners.
Got Bob Speckman and Paul Sadak, our contractor and architect. Thought I'd give you a quick overview of what we're doing before we get into the details. So my wife and I have lived in this neighborhood for over 20 years. We live across the street and a few houses down at 924 now since 2003. Kind of been admiring this house at 945 as we've walked by it for the last 20 years, and had the opportunity in August, as we saw it was coming on the market, to buy it. We did. We are now restoring it. So there's two main topics on the agenda tonight. The first is a sun deck over the west sunroom, and the second is the egress window, thank you, that we need to install apparently because of code. So first up is the so there's a sun deck on the west, and the roof needs replacing. So the roof is leaking, it's old. So we had an idea that we'd like to make it into usable space and make it into a second floor deck and add doors, and these are 2 bedrooms, so that we would add doors on the inside of each window next to the chimney, and that way you can walk out onto the deck and it would be completely symmetrical. And I think that's important to note, that it would maintain symmetrical appearance. The doors, they'd be wood doors and match the, I don't know what you call these. What? True divided. I call them French style
Well, they
windows.
look like, and they look
Yeah.
very much like the windows that are underneath in the sunroom.
Yeah, and of course, we'll match the existing brick facade with the vertical lintels over the door so that it looks good. We have walked the neighborhood, of course, to see what else is there. I just took some pictures this weekend, and I'm happy to show you. There is a house 2 doors to the south that has a west-facing sunroom, sun deck, that has a door over the sunroom, so the deck over the sunroom is the door right there. I actually never saw that, even though living across the street for 16 years, until I actually started looking.
And that's
then
not symmetrical.
That is asymmetrical. That's 1 door on the south side of the house, and we would have 2. I also looked, the house directly across the street from ours, the 945 is the southeast corner, so the southwest corner, which is a very similar looking building, very similar looking house. On the west side of their house, which is extremely visible from the alley, They also have a sunroom with a deck and a single door that's kind of lopsided on the side. And I can show you, this is, you can see the openness from the alley, and this is kind of a close-up. They're really not visible from the street as you drive and walk by, but as I said again, for visual, we want it symmetrical, we want it to look like it belongs in the house, and we think it would enhance the house to actually be able to sit on the sun deck. So that's the first item. The second item is the egress window, which we need to do for code. And we're proposing we put that on the east side, of the east end of the house. And you can see from this picture that that is completely behind a retaining wall that you can't see from the street as you walk by. So we would, they're out of the back, out of the east sunroom, there's a door and a deck, thank you. There's a door and a little deck and stairs that go down, and there's a window underneath that deck already. We would propose to modify that window and make that the egress window. Then it's not visible, it meets code, of course, and it would be wood. I know the document says vinyl, that's a mistake, it would be wood. And it would match stylistically the rest of the windows in the house.
Okay. Could you show us the plan of what you're going to build?
Do you have the plan? Oh, this. Yeah, we've got a larger one there, but I don't know if you can see it. I can't see it from here.
Lower left.
So
That's the porch, and the upper one is the window.
there's already a door here and a stairwell, and there's a window underneath the stairwell. So we would have to enlarge this a little bit for purposes of accessing egress window. Again.
If you could speak into the microphone, please. If you, the recording it, so if you could speak in the microphone, please. Thank you.
Sorry.
Also, you can use the pointer.
Yeah. So this is where we would replace an existing window that's under the stairs and enlarge it and have a little bit of a cutout to allow the access to the ingress and egress. And it's on the east end of the house. It's not visible from the street. Yeah, so that, again, we meet the code and we don't degrade the front of the house by digging it out to put an egress window in the front of the house. Oh, there it is.
Sir, can you go to the mic? And also, what elevation are we looking at,
I'm
please?
Bob Speckman, architect for the project. This is the east elevation behind the garden wall. The garden wall is off to your right. What we would do is we'd increase the landing enough to pull it to the east to create enough headroom for the escape window below. I don't think we had, no. So basically, it's just moving the stairs out about 2 feet.
So you're building an egress window for the basement room.
Right.
And then you have to build
Area well.
About 9 inch 3 by 3. It's only about 9 inch floor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tucked.
It's a star at the top.
Oh, it's tucked underneath here, right underneath. And then the area well itself will come out to about here.
And those trees will be cut down as soon as possible.
Do you have a drawing of what you're going to construct there? Or a rendering?
As far as the area well is concerned?
Yeah, just a rendering of what's.
Can you please go to the mic, if you don't mind, please? Thank you.
Right here is the area well itself. It's going to be unit masonry retaining wall. This is the egress out of the first floor sunroom. This is the basement. And there's the stair that will be moved to the east, and the landing will be over top of it right here. And then in order to get enough headroom to come out and jump out of the area well, we're moving that down to the north a little bit, or to the south, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's only about 9-10 inches.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Here's the east elevation. You can see here's the landing right here. Here's the escape window. Here's the difference in grade from here to roughly right there.
Okay, I'm sorry, could you show us the depictions of the new sun porch and French doors out?
Yeah, so this is existing, and then we would put doors on, this is the existing, and then we would add doors on the inside of each window, on each side of the chimney. So it would be completely symmetrical.
So you're raising the piers?
Yes, the
and
piers.
And then I think everyone should just look at what that elevation looks like and imagine that, the piers are going to change and the
The
doors.
piers would be raised a little bit to meet code, and we would use the brick, the existing brick that's from where we cut out the doors. The brick would be used, so it's all matching brick. We'd save the limestone header that we'd set back on top, and we'd have to get new balustrades that are higher to meet current code as well. Especially, those balustrades the existing ones are completely rotten anyway.
There's probably, I'm just going to say this, I think the existing piers and their proportion is really nice, and there is a way to do it so that you could maybe swoop the rail away from the existing pier and then come up to guardrail height and leave those alone, because I think it's a little weird when you run the rail and it's in front of the window and you run it all the way across, and it looks like you're holding it away from that existing window. Does everyone know what I'm talking about?
I'm sorry, I don't.
No.
Excuse me,
I
sir.
know.
Can you please, everybody who's going to speak, we need to make sure that everybody can
sorry,
listen from the audience.
keep
I
forgetting.
apologize.
You're talking about
Thank you.
taking the guardrail and moving it in to the deck itself, so it does not.
No, I'm
tie
just
into
saying,
the-
like, you leave the height of those piers, which is existing, and then you just take the guardrail and you swing it up, and then you come across, so that when it comes back down, it's not like in front of the window.
Right. Or what we could do too is move it into the deck, bring it off of the jamb between the window and the door, and just bring it all the way around behind the piers, so it doesn't even touch the piers, and let those stand as an entity by themselves. That's
'Cause
very doable too.
I just think I think that's a little raising them, and then adding, for me, adding the doors so close to the windows, and then changing the height of those masonry piers, and I'm not quite sure what the rail's going to end up looking like, is a modification that I think is, since it has it's facing a street, right? That's a corner lot. I think that, for me, is problematic.
Well, the rails themselves will match what's on the east elevation. If you take a look at. We have photographs here.
The real issue are the doors.
Yeah.
Across the top right here, these are applique balusters, and we plan to match those. Let's see if we had a.
I want to speak about the doors. Yeah, Julie, are you still on?
Oh, here's a picture of, sorry to regress, but here's a picture of the escape window and the stairs in the back. You can see here's the basement window that's going to be enlarged. The escape area well will be here, and this will be pulled out about 2 feet.
I think the problem I have is that you've got a masonry wall, and the character of a masonry wall is a punched opening. I mean, you have an opening with masonry around it. And when I look at the drawing that you have for when you put the door in, it's changed the character. It's as if it's a veneer wall, and it's no longer a masonry wall with a lintel above it or some sort of header above it, and there's separation between the openings. If you look at what you have now, you've got separated windows with brick around them. I keep looking at that large picture that's in front of us here, and it's very hard to see, well, it's the same thing. And the minute you've smashed those doors between the chimney and the windows, and as far as I can see, at least on the one drawing that you've been showing us, it changes the way the fenestration is. It changes the character of the brick wall. It stops being what is really a bearing wall or a brick wall. It's now just paper with holes punched in it. And even in that drawing that you have, it doesn't seem to be reconciled. It looks like you took the window, just glued the door next to it. I'm not even sure how you're resolving the masonry above it, and no one would have put that window or any window, even if it had been a pair of windows, that close to the chimney, regardless of what was going on inside. And there's something about that separation of brick around each opening that you've lost completely. And that, for me, is even more problematic. I didn't even get into the railings and all the issues that Julie's concerned with. I think there's something wrong with what you've done to the character of the end of that house.
So, if I may, I hear what you're saying, and we've thought a lot about it, and we actually think it will enhance it. The masonry around it will match what's, I don't know the terminology, but I know the vertical bricks that are the pattern that are above the windows will be matched above the doors. And it'll be a lot more symmetrical looking and natural looking than I think the other houses, the neighboring houses that have a single door that kind of look like they were thrown in. This, to me, to us, will actually look, when it's done, like it was built that way.
Nobody would have put it that close to the chimney. Don't say it's going to look better.
Well,
or
we think it
anything
will.
else.
That's why we're proposing it.
Well, I know, but that's why he's being paid to resolve the issue for you, because we're not supposed to be talking about the design or the architecture. But I think it is the character, and it's no longer what was the historic house and what is the character of that house. That's just knocking out a lot of bricks and putting a door in and leaving nothing around it. And I don't know what he's planning to do above it, but you've got an opening with verticals, probably Rolox or whatever.
That's a jack arch.
And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Put two arches next to each other?
No, that's a jack arch, and you can continue the arch across.
That's not what was there, and that's not the character of the house. I mean, we still go back to what was there. And
Yeah,
I'm
what's
not
there-
sure
what's
that
there
you're
is a jack-
retaining the
Excuse me,
character
but
of
what's
this
there
house.
is a jack arch, and we're just extending that jack arch to cover, because the jack arch will take by itself up to 8 feet in width. This is being
Hey,
reinforced with a
If
steel
I
angle
have,
behind.
let's forget the arch. If I have a window and I put a lintel over it, I have brick on either side. Why do I have brick on either side? To support the lintel. You're just smashing it into the chimney.
No, this will have a lintel that goes all
What
the
are
way
you
across.
going to have next to the chimney,
to
other
support-
than the door?
Pardon?
I don't want to argue. It looks to me like you've barely got enough room to get the door in between the window and the chimney.
We've got over a foot to play.
You've got a foot left over?
Yeah.
So there's 4 feet there?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't look like it in the drawings that we've been seeing. I don't know if anybody else is seeing that. So what you're showing are two separate, you've got two separate lintels and two separate
Elliot,
arches.
we cannot hear that. Maybe you can put the mic towards him or something.
Well, I don't know. Here, let him, he's going to run back. I don't know. I mean, if you look at the drawing, it's just a separate arch.
The drawing is in error. The jack arch should go straight across, and it shows two.
So but the
shows
drawing
two
right
jack
now
arches.
shows two separate.
Right, shows two jack
Shows
arches.
two separate arches.
Yeah, I think the proportion of that kind of narrow sliver of brick between the door and the window is what's problematic. You almost have to think of it as the window and the door together is a double wide window opening under one jack arch and then under one large lintel. I don't think it works with just that 4-inch sliver of brick. That's not going to be able to hold up the lintels.
It just doesn't.
It doesn't look right, and it's not going to function right.
Maybe from a perspective angle, but from a structural standpoint, it more than calculates out.
It's not a
So-
structural issue.
No, I know, it's,
You know, I mean, you could put a steel post in there
Yeah.
and say no brick, but that's not the point. I think it's a visual issue, and it's really the character of the brick wall.
Might I propose that we submit a revised drawing that makes it a little bit more accurate and shows you the dimensions better and
Yeah, I
And-
mean, I
and
think
revisit.
well, I think that there were all these other comments about.
and shrink the size of the door, too. I mean, we selected what we thought was a, 2.6? We can shrink
I
that
think-
down to 2 feet and pick up another 6
I think
feet.
if you would be willing to continue and
Yeah.
come back with more
Yeah.
information and revised drawing, I think that the commission would be open to that
Yeah,
situation.
I think though what I'm hearing from commissioners is beyond just the depiction.
Yeah, I think we hear that, and we've had a lot of good ideas, and we'll try to incorporate them.
Maybe come back with a couple options, like Ken said, where you look at it as one
Right.
entity and try to bring it all together so it's a little bit more cohesive. As for the basement window, I don't think any of us have any issues with that.
Yeah.
So it's just
Not at all.
related to the sun deck.
Okay.
And if you could also come back with some more information regarding the railing and how that ties in with the piers, I think that would be good.
Sure.
So, just so I can understand, so I can help, those piers are currently about, I'm sorry, Paul Sadak from Service Construction.
Did you sign up, please?
No.
If you do later, when you're done.
Okay. Those piers, the corner piers are about 24 inches high. That would leave a big void that wouldn't be at 42 inches if we just bring a rail coming up off of them. So I don't know how that would fit from a code standpoint.
I think that's something that maybe your architect and you can think through and try to figure out what different options you might have to satisfy the codes, but also to respect the preservation. And I think that's something that you.
Okay, why don't we continue this until I'm sorry, did you have a question before we vote and continue?
I have one. I think it would be really helpful for us if you had a site plan, just so there isn't a site plan here. Can you bring one? Or, thank you. That'd be great.
Okay.
Would somebody bring a motion to continue? Susie?
So I
continue.
move to continue 945 Sheridan Road to the April 14th meeting.
Second?
Julie.
Second, Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
I have a question. Can we get the approval on the egress window now and just continue the sun deck?
Is that possible, Carlos?
Carlos, can we separate them?
If you have a separate permit for the egress window from everything else, we can do that,
Yeah, we can fill out a separate permit for
and that include the west elevation.
So Carlos, you want me to make a second motion?
Please do.
Yeah.
I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 945 Sheridan Road for to create an escape well and remove existing basement window and enlarge the opening and install a wood escape window. Applicable standards, alteration 1 through 6 and 9, demolition 1 through 6.
Second, Elliot? Okay, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all were in favor. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Which line?
1131 Forest Avenue.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Petrick. I'm representing my clients on 1131 Forest. The project primarily includes a kitchen remodel, which also includes some exterior windows and removal of an existing porch that was probably, I think, screened in the 1950s, but the plan is to bring it back to an open porch, and then there is a window and a door, which you guys probably couldn't see, I'm realizing, from the exterior, because it was an exterior door and window into that screened-in porch. Anyways, that opening is just to be combined into a large opening with 3 French doors or bifold door that looks like French door. And those are on the east elevation with the new window. In the kitchen, there's 3 windows that were, one is a new window to the east, and 2 are existing windows that we want to drop the sill so that all 3 windows in the kitchen will match. And those 2 windows that we're dropping the sill are facing the south. Let's see. This is the front of the house. This is the back. That's the screened-in porch, or I don't know if I'm calling it infilled porch, but you can see the existing posts and the brick piers that support the structure. This is the existing stair. So the idea is to just remove all this infill structure that was done at a later time, and then bring back a railing and a railing to code as well, going down the existing stairs. This is the south elevation. These are the 2 windows that we want to remove, and then to drop the sill approximately, I think it's 18 inches. They're pretty high up, so the goal for the remodel was to bring more sunlight and also more views into the kitchen area. On the back of the house, you can see that the porch that we want to open up. And then also to the left, you can see a vent for the existing range. We would have a window opening to match the same size opening as above. That would be below, directly below and aligned with it. The plan. So currently, although I'm realizing that there's like a little infill right here. There's a door, existing door here, and there's an existing window. So we're proposing to open up that whole space and then infill it with 3 French doors. The door system itself could open up like a bifold, but on an everyday use, it would be 2 fixed panels with 1 operable. The idea also was what we're trying to kind of do is to mimic or similar doors to the front of the house. If you guys drove by, the front of the house has 2 French doors out to the front porch. And so we're kind of doing a similar idea to the back porch. Oh, wait, hold on. And then these 3 windows would all match. This is the new elevation. This is the existing rear elevation.
Could you provide a little more detail about the existing kitchen window types and configurations versus the new?
So the 3 windows that I'm proposing in the kitchen, over the kitchen counter, we're dropping the sill. Those I'm proposing are aluminum clad casement, the architectural Pellis series. I don't know if that was included in this. Carlos, did you? I don't.
In the wood window.
Yeah. So I'm specifying the architectural series, traditional with a 5/8 inch grill. Kind of like I said before, was the goal was to get a lot more light in there, and so that was the choice in the windows. And then also with the back wall, which is actually, overhung by the porch, this is the door structure, but we would have the traditional grills included. Sure. The existing or proposed? Oh, wait. Oh, there.
And so the existings appear to be 9 over just 1, and then the existing are 9 over 1, and then
I'm sorry,
proposed-
what are you talking about? The existing what?
Windows.
Windows,
The
okay.
new ones that are going to be over the counters. And then are you proposing operable windows or not?
Yes, there would be casements, actually.
Ah.
I think, you know what, I think, I'm sorry.
One of the reasons I know it's steering away from the double hung, but it was more about eyesight. If once you drop the sill down, all of a sudden the double hung's right at eye level.
So I think the scale of the divisions is so different from the double hungs, and I'm just wondering did you look at, if you wanted them to be casements, maybe you needed to do 3, 6, 9 lights. It's just like it's so different
Right.
that it just changes the scale of the rest of the house because it's 9 over 9 and then a double hung. So it looks real, like, I get the doors, but the windows then, just the scale is kind of lost.
Right. Yeah, I have thought that especially, I guess I was thinking if I was to kind of make it similar to the existing, we could go 3 by 5 instead of 2 by 3 or 3 by 4.
Yeah, I would look at, let's see, 3, well, I would
Maybe 3
look at
by-
it, because I just think I don't know, I think there's some adjustment of scale that
Yeah.
in mind.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was just trying to limit the mullions for more view. But if necessary, we could definitely consider a small, I think at the very least, so the width of the new windows are, as you can see directly above, are the same width as this window. This window is, I think, exactly the same size. It's just a casement. So I could do 3 wide by 5 or 6.
I would just look at it, because I think that would help me, just saying, like, it sort of is in keeping. And I understand, yes, with the double hung, that it would be in your view where the divider, so I think it's that if you could look at that division.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Any public comment? Any further discussion?
Elliot, I
Yeah.
think
So what I was this was my thought when I was thinking, is they're not the same size, but, and they're not really, it's funny because those panes, which is kind of not typical, is they're very horizontal by the proportions of the rectangle. I was just, I was trying to limit the mullions because of that. But I'm open to changing them if that is needed.
Should we make a motion with some kind of recommendation that be reexamined? Would that be sufficient?
It certainly is for me.
Or should we continue this? I mean, I think it's needs a redesign.
I could just email an elevation with what.
Can we do
What we
that?
could do in agreement, so you guys could
Yeah.
just.
Approve everything but the design of the three
Pattern
new
of
windows.
The mullions.
I mean, so then how would, I know I don't know what's acceptable anymore. I know that we've done sometimes we have done something like that in the past where someone has just presented, the change in the window mullions or something like that, and there's been two people who've looked at it. Can we still do that?
We've done that.
I think I've done that in the past. Not for windows, but I can't remember
Or
what it was
something,
for.
something. Oh, I know what you did. You did the detail through that deck. Didn't you do that for the Georgian? Yeah, you did. Next to the homestead, didn't you do that project?
No, I don't think so.
Sorry,
Thanks
Jeannie.
Thanks for
Just gave
thinking
her
that I
another
did it.
commission. Now she's
It's
going to go out
done.
and collect.
That's done.
Okay, so the commission in the past has allowed staff to look at revised drawings that the architect owner will agree to comply with. But in this situation, you need to be specific as to what will work. I mean, I can circulate the drawings with no more than 2 commissioners just to get the feeling or not that might be approvable. I think that perhaps if Ken is okay to look at them as the vice chair, and maybe Julie, since you were the other architect that has some concerns about it, I think that would be good to have both of you satisfied with the revisions. Otherwise, if we only have one of them, then it would not fly.
I would recommend, can I make, and that's for you, that if you're presenting a couple of alternatives, you need to superimpose, a person or the equivalent on that elevation so it becomes
Oh.
very clear where the eye level is. Because that's really her criteria, and I think it's a legitimate one.
Yeah. Okay, why don't we, another reason to approve is who knows what we'll be doing in April. We're having meetings here. So, Julie, do you want to just try to make the motion and describe in some way what
Okay, wait.
you're expecting to be
All right, we'll see. I make a motion that we approve a certificate of appropriateness for 1131 Forest Avenue, which includes one new window opening on the east facade, and on the south facade replacing 2 windows with a dropped sill, and converting the enclosed rear porch to an open covered porch with rail and new bifold mullion door. With the provision that the windows on the, I guess that's the rear east facade, and on the south facade that the mullions on those windows and the patterning is re-examined and will be, I guess, approved administratively. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And these would be for alterations 1 through 6 and 10, and demolition 1 through 6.
Great. Okay, second. Ken seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All were in favor. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
1133 Hinman.
Hi, my name is Lisa Karen, and I'm the homeowner. And we are looking to demolish our very old garage and build a new 26 by 23 foot detached garage with a gable roof, which would be similar. And I'm not sure whether I'm,
You have the
How it-
presentation there you can go over.
so this is, sorry, this is our existing house, front and the back. And that is our existing garage. Plat of survey. And this is the new proposed garage. So it's basically larger, same gable roof, and that's any questions or?
Questions? No. Thank you. I assume there's no public comment? No, thank you. Why don't you have a seat?
Thank you.
Any discussion? Would somebody like to make a motion to approve? Elliot, go ahead, please.
Story of my life. You were going to do? I move that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for 1133 Hinman Avenue, I'll just say case 33, to demolish the existing garage and to construct a new detached garage with a gable roof, 8-inch overhangs, and asphalt shingle roof using 4-inch hardy siding and wood picture windows. The applicable standards for construction 1 through 5, 7, 8, 10 through 14, and 16, and for demolition standards 1 through 6.
Second.
Second.
Susie, second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All were in favor. Thank you. 1514 Judson Avenue.
Someone stole the pen. You guys have a pen? You have a pen to sign in?
There's no pen there? Okay.
I'm Nate Kipnis, and the architect for this project. I guess I can just go through it and then we can talk about it. Oops. So there is, there's currently a covered porch on the side, and there is a screen porch in the back, and those are going to be eliminated. And on the side would be a larger covered screen porch, and it would be an open patio in the back. And there's existing windows that we're going to restore, and then there's a new set of windows on the southwest side on the first floor that are metal. They're kind of like Hope's windows, and that's pretty much the extent of it. This had come in twice before, third time's the charm.
Had a big glass.
Right,
Glassy
no more.
thing
Yeah.
in the back.
When I snap my fingers, you will forget that.
Could you show us the depiction of the new?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can't remember. It's a long packet, and it's hard to remember.
Right. So is there a good trick to getting, oh, there's the laser. Okay, so on the front, previously there was this front section that was approved, so that's staying as was originally submitted. In the back, this is where that screen porch was, and we've eliminated that. This is an older elevation. This is not correct. That window, that door is adjacent to here, and this is recentered in between. That should be in your packet, I think.
This isn't the packet I received, so sorry.
Okay, I have a drawing of it. I can pass that around if you want.
That will be fine. That will be fine.
Should I do it now?
If you're
Okay.
looking at it.
I apologize about that. So you can also see that's the, you can barely see it, but that's the side of the screen porch. And there it is right there. Those have remote screens that come down. And that's it.
Nate, can you go back to the real elevation where you were talking about the windows that are not center or they will be center? Can you just go quickly about those?
Yeah.
What is
so-
actually, so I was trying to coordinate here with the drawings.
Yeah, so those, this chimney is moved over so it's flush with the edge of that shutter. And then we were able to get the shutter back on this window. So this just basically moved over to fit this right there. That goes straight down, and then it jogs over to hit that door. So it centers the upper part and it centers the bottom part.
Okay. So basically, is the same components or elements. There, it will be the chimneys just shifted.
Right,
to-
it'll look exactly like what's
Yeah.
there. And, the screen porch hid this before, of course. This was
Okay.
all inside of that.
So the large doors that will be also center, right, with the chimney on either side.
So these are where they are, and these are symmetrical. Like right now, you see how strange that looks?
Yeah.
So this gets pushed over so it's centered, and by doing that, then of course, we get the shutter to get centered, so it looks perfectly normal up here. And then because the chimney's coming down right here, and then the side part comes over, so it recenters the whole thing. It's coming around.
Could you just tell us what are the doors and windows that are now metal or steel? Are they
Yes,
steel?
they're steel.
So are they Hopes or what?
They're similar to Hopes. They're
Grable or something?
Crital, C-R-I-T-T-A-L.
Here, I'm going to pass this because could you just point out on the elevation where they are?
Yeah, so it's right.
With the
right-
revised elevation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Those,
there,
uh-huh.
and then it is these three.
Uh-huh.
And then these are very narrow double doors that are inside the porch.
And they're steel?
Yes.
And that's it? The rest are all wood?
The rest are either existing, I think there's one or two that are new that are going to match.
And they're wood?
Yes. Ken had a second, you had a set also? Okay, while we're finishing looking, were there any more questions for the applicant? No. Thank you. Was there anyone from the public who wished to speak to this? No, thanks. Give Jamie a chance to look at it.
Is there any discussion? No? Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
So just so that I can be clear, in the agenda description, the one door and two windows with the 3 glass frame doors, those are the metal doors.
Yes.
And the breakfast room replaced the double hung windows, those are with casement windows, those are also metal, correct?
Yes, these are metal, correct.
Okay, and then obviously you have that you're restoring everything else, which is the wood windows.
Correct.
Okay, so anything that you're covering in this description is, for the new stuff, is the metal?
Correct.
Just so that I can make
There's,
sure I
like I
clearly-
said, there's 1 or 2 windows that are new windows that are being replaced. One's on the north elevation. It's on that set. It's just a little window right here for the stairs going down.
Okay, and that you said was the wood to
Wood-
match?
that's a wood window.
So if I just say it's one north window, okay, just so that I can be clear, so it's just,
Yes.
okay. Sorry, I've been yelled at multiple times, so, okay, I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for 1514 Judson Avenue, demolish an existing rear covered wood patio and construct a new open patio, to remove a window and door and install 2 steel-framed glass doors on the rear west facade, construct a new covered screen porch on the south, and replace 1 door and 2 windows with 3 glass steel-framed doors. For the breakfast room, to replace double-hung steel windows with new casement windows, restore all other existing windows, and install a new wood window on the north elevation. Applicable standards include alteration 1 through 6 and 8 through 10, construction 1 through 4, 7, 8, and 10 through 15, and demolition 1 through 6.
Thank you. Second, Elliot. All in favor, please say aye. I think all were in favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. 1914 Sheridan Road.
Remember that glass box? Remember that glass?
Robert Carlton, Northwestern University Project Manager for 1914 Sheridan, otherwise known as the Black House. It's a community center for the African American student body. You might recall, possibly not, that
I do, I remember.
March 12th,
Heard that.
2019,
As it came
exactly
forward.
1 year ago.
And the gable was split,
Yes.
right? Remember that.
Yes, unfortunately, let's see, to advance this. There we go. Construction budget, construction bids radically by over a magnitude of 2 times exceeded the available construction budget, and we have had to revise the project scope. The original project had, yes, an enclosed stair tower with an elevator in the center. This 1914 Sheridan is the one with the arrow to it. This is the view from the corner of Emerson and Sheridan Road looking north, adjacent buildings to the south and north of Sheridan Road of the project site. This is Black House 1914 Sheridan. The upper left is the southwest view. Bottom of that is the northeast view. We are not making any changes to the south, north, or east elevation of the building. All of them, the only work that's being proposed is on the rear of the building. The lovely steel fire escape stair, the current proposal is essentially to move the elevator. What we've done is we've moved the elevator to the interior of the building and we have reduced the exterior scope to simply the bottom right-hand corner where the steel stair lands, and there you see, I can point, right there, what was originally proposed as a deck. That is really the only component that we are proposing to proceed with. This is, upper right is the view from Emerson. It's through 2 parking lots and a pile of trees. You can barely make out that steel stair. The bottom view is from the west end of the university parking lot. So you see the buildings along Sheridan Road. It's the 3rd house north of Emerson Avenue. The yellow portion is the area of the new proposed deck that we're talking about. The original proposal had a deck that was about 22'7" wide by 21'10", 22 foot north and south, and what we're now proposing is a smaller deck at that same location, modifying the steel stair so that it terminates onto the deck, and then we just have the deck. The rest of the exterior remains the same. With the elevator moving into the interior, what we would also need to do is in between those 2 gables that are currently there, we're proposing a sloped doghouse. The ridge would connect with the existing ridges of the 2 west side gables that are obscured behind the flat roof of the steel stair, and the face of the doghouse, and there's a rendering at the end, would be back from the gable facade itself. So this is, for what it's worth, this is what we had originally reviewed and what was previously approved, and by contrast and comparison, this is the scope that we're now requesting a certificate of appropriateness for. You can see the elevator overrun here and the smaller deck at the southwest corner, and this is basically the foundation for that. Existing and proposed east elevation, no changes. They're exactly the same. The west elevation on the left is what currently exists. Center is what was proposed, and highlighted in yellow is, center is what was approved, previously approved, and to the right is what we are now proposing with the reduced scope. Here again, the elevator overrun back from the face, and the deck with 3 doors at the back. This was what was originally, initially proposed on that. The difference visible from the north, which is adjacent to another university building, here again, what was previously reviewed and proposed, and what would now be visible behind the existing entryway in the steel stair. From the south, again, this is what's currently, there's an existing concrete stoop with rail there, the addition and porch and balcony and everything that was proposed, approved, and what we are now proposing is really a smaller version of simply the deck that's at that southwest corner of the building. A larger version of the east elevation, the north elevation as it would be, as it's proposed, south elevation as proposed. Here again, the porch towards, or the deck towards the southwest, and the proposed sadly, west elevation. This is a rendering that shows what the deck would look like. Material would be wood rail. There's the same sort of seating area, albeit smaller, in front of that with a composite wood deck. You can see where we'll modify the steel stair to land on the deck and then discharge down this way. The hatchway, this entry is all existing material, existing elements, and this whole structure, existing fire escape structure, really obstructs any view towards to that gable. But if one were a drone and got up high enough, you could see this sort of shows how that elevator overrun would fit in between the existing gables there. And that is the requested.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just have a question. I mean, that roof piece, it's sort of like, okay, maybe from the weather, the upper landing, but it's not really doing anything for the others, and it's just so difficult to do that on that. Do you have to have that at all, and just have, it's all exposed anyway?
Well, the roof work is, that's to accommodate the overrun on the elevator.
No, I mean the flat that's covering the upper landing, the roof of the porch.
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
That's existing.
Oh,
This entire structure is existing.
it just that's
I concur. It's hideous. It's a great disappointment. It's a
Okay, I have a so you
professional
know.
embarrassment.
Okay, let me just let's just ask you one question. So in the rendering, what happens to the railing when it smashes into that lower roof at below the double gables? It just looks like is that?
It's existing.
You're saying this right here?
Okay, I'm just sorry. Oh, as it comes down. See the little roof that comes over?
Oh, over here?
No, go up higher.
Up higher?
Keep going. To
This?
the right. To the right.
To the right.
That roof comes around and then it like just disappears into the handrail or something?
Yes, that's existing.
Okay, I am so sorry.
I am. And I apologize profusely.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, where's the condenser that's mentioned in the description here?
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
So, right, the third component, let's go back to the site plan. So this is an administration building to the north. This is the ramp that there was a view, east and west on. The existing building there comes out to about right here, and there's a fireplace here, and it jumps back in. What we have is we'll do a concrete pad with 3 mini split system Mitsubishi type condenser packages. There are 3 vertical. There's a ComEd transformer sitting right here. There are 5 condenser packages for this building sitting right here, and then a box type condenser also sitting right here. This is all full of vegetation. The distance between the ramp and the building is something on the order of about 4 feet. And this is there's a large tree here, and this is heavily vegetated here. So it's well covered with vegetation and view to obstruct the view. Yeah, and it's right in the same area with a whole slew of other mechanical equipment.
Okay, any other questions, any discussion?
I have a quick question. One of your neighbors called about the condenser units to my office this afternoon, and she wanted to know about the noise level and all that. Are you going to meet
Yes, it would be below the required 65 dB at the lot line. It would be consistent with the other equipment that is already in that location.
She lives in Orrington,
She lives in Orrington.
Orrington Avenue, yeah. Believe it or not, I got the call, so I just want to transmit her concern.
Okay.
I assure you she would not be able to hear.
There being no public comment, could we have a motion for approval, please? Maybe somebody new who hasn't made one tonight. Beth, would you like to?
Since you asked the question.
Yeah.
All right, I move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for 1914 Sheridan Road, case 20-Pres-0026, to replace the rear southwest door and concrete stairs with new French doors and decking and seating area, modifying the bottom stair run of the existing steel emergency exit stairs to discharge onto the new deck. Construct and between and below the ridges of the existing rear gables a dormer for the required overrun of a new elevator to provide accessibility to all interior levels. And install at the rear northwest corner next to the existing accessibility ramp a condenser for the adjacent university building and CECO power transformer, 3 new AC condensers. The applicable standards are alterations 1 through 5 and 7 through 10, and demolition 1 through 6.
Second, Elliot. All in favor, please say aye. All were in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always entertaining.
Maybe for you.
But it gives me pause to consider volunteering for the commission.
We're going to need.
A couple of us are going.
So the minutes you wish.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes of February 11th. I received comments from 3 commissioners, which I reflected in the latest email showing all the changes. Changes from Elliot, some changes from Julie, and some from Susie. There were not necessarily substantial changes other than what Elliot wanted to pair the minutes with the report regarding 24 for Ridge. So I would like for your consideration to consider approval of the minutes as amended or edited.
I move that we approve the minutes as amended. I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you. Second.
And issued at about
Second.
6 o'clock.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All were in favor.
Thank you.
So what is the status of that other report? That was why I raised that question.
2404 Ridge, or?
Well, yeah, what Carlos was alluding to was the point that we had that to review as well. We all got a copy of the proposed report. that was being
So the
sent to
status is that we consulted with the law department, and they were in agreement with the text amendments that you provided. And then the section that deals with the commission's or the reasons why the commission did not approve the economic hardship were reflected also in the minutes. Some of the other texts that we looked at, we thought were not necessary to reflect word by word, because the minutes try to reflect what really happened at the meeting, whereas the report makes the case for the commission using the information on the minutes, and also if they were to review the case, they have the video that they can go to. So we thought it was appropriate to reflect this section related to the reasons why the commission did not approve the certificate for economic hardship.
I just didn't want to have two separate versions, because my sense is, as I wrote you, that these guys aren't going to quit.
I don't know.
There's, the possibility that if they litigate, they're going to pull up all these documents, and then it was a question of whether the two of them match. I mean, they didn't have to match, but at least that we were consistent. And I think one of the points was making sure that some of his comments that you had there were read as quotes and not our wording, because of some of the words that he used.
In the report, there are
And I
quotes,
saw
correct?
you changed them to quotes. Thank you.
Yeah. We maintain that, yeah.
Just, I mean, informationally, if you didn't hear, the two of the matters we heard, I guess, 2 months ago were appealed. And the, I think, 612 Judson windows, the appeal was accepted, and our ruling was overturned. And then on the Lincoln and Orrington home, the appeal was not accepted. Yes, the replacement with the vinyl windows was, the appeal was accepted, and then our ruling was overturned. The applicant did agree to some kind of upgrade of the windows. It was kind of confusing. It might have been to something more like Fibrex from vinyl. I don't think she didn't have a technical grasp of it, so her description of what it was replaced with, I don't think was clear. But at any rate, the city council agreed with her appeal. I think it was unanimous.
That was the lead one, right?
On the basis of that it was, I mean, obviously part of it was that the people had had kind of a financial unexpected disaster after really trying to comply in good faith. But there were, one alder person remarked that, that the exact reference was that only, we were setting a standard that only Jennifer Pritzker could comply with, and for a lot of people in Evanston, it was just too expensive. But, obviously it was, in reality, it was a case where it was just ruling in favor of one person who had unusual situation where they really did try hard to comply and misestimated the cost. And there was only, again, I think we should be aware that there is some perception, not unanimous, but some perception by some older people that we should be aware of cost. At least, again, not in houses that are not grand historic homes. Okay, I'm just reflecting what was said by the city council. I'm not.
And I mean, they do have to
debating
recognize that these people are choosing to buy in a historic district, so they should know the.
I just wanted to relay the
requirement.
I just wanted to relay
Part
the
of the
exact facts.
retreat where we talk about,
Yeah, we need to
the
talk about
support that we get from the
You
city.
do have to be careful of setting precedents, because I think that came to light even slightly today.
If I can just, I was not at the meeting, but I read or watched the video, and Alderman Nguyen basically said that she will not approve vinyl, but she was supportive of accepting the appeal for the circumstances that the applicant had, and that the compromise was to have what they call the wood window with a fiberglass clad. So it's not vinyl, but it's.
There is no such.
Well, that's what they said.
What's fiberglass cladding? No, there's.
No, it's
I think it's Fibrex, but they didn't understand.
It is. We've
No,
seen it.
he keeps saying it's wood, but it's like the way this piece of paper is wood. It was processed.
Oh, you mean these guys,
Well, I
the
said that,
Fibrex?
and everybody.
The Fibrex is like the synthetic deck material.
Yeah, she wasn't, her statements about what she was going to replace were not, she didn't have a technical understanding of the material.
They really,
So I don't know
should
what.
have been better off with her contractor if she could ever figure out which one it was.
All right, so talking about, so obviously this is a hugely important issue for the retreat because we do need to have consistent standards. We need to develop them to have them. So are we, Carlos, I had passed out basically the same agenda but with people's names filled in. I don't know if you want to.
It is in the packet. Let's see if I can get it to you. Did everybody has access to the agenda? It's in the last page.
So, okay, well, so we'll send it out again. So the retreat is here.
Oh, it's in the packet.
Okay.
So, hold on.
It's in the back. We haven't made it to that part of it.
The retreat is here on 8:30. I mean, you'll send us exact information. before
It's
that.
on Saturday, the March of 28th.
Okay.
And I guess I thought you had the agenda with the different assignments for the leaders of each task. Do you want to go over that? Everybody's comfortable with that? We talk about that. You will be doing that. So you want me to go over the agenda now, or you are happy? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a great idea. Why don't we recirculate to everybody separately, like tomorrow, or this week, the exact time, place of the meeting, and the agenda with everybody's name filled in.
Okay.
It's in the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, are we talking about this now?
Or are we talking about the sustainability?
Should we just start from the beginning with the sustainability report?
Well, I'm sorry, let's just finish the retreat as long as we're talking about it.
I thought it was, can I ask something about the retreat? Because it seems like there's topics that overlap each other, so.
Oh, Julie, can you turn your mic, please?
The, okay, so the community relations, I think community relations, community outreach is part of process for community input. I mean, it's all community work, so it's sort of one thing. I don't think, community relations is part of.
Public relations?
Yeah.
Yes, so I don't know why they're all so different.
Okay. I think those are your topics and mine, and as I read it, I realized that I wasn't exactly sure where the dividing line was. We can try to reorganize it if you want. I mean, truthfully, as I looked at it, I had enough topics that if to the extent you cover things, I won't.
Oh, okay, I can just write that, we can do it together, yeah.
At any rate, because this is self-taught, the
Yeah.
quality of this is totally dependent on the individual presenters having developed discussion
Points.
agendas and materials. I mean, Elliot's obviously having real materials is the hardest part.
He's waiting because she's collecting all the material. She was the one that originally was going to do this topic, so I'm just.
I don't care, I can do it with you. I just, okay.
Okay, at any rate, and I guess if anybody has materials they'd like distributed, I mean, I know I had found some articles on the NAPC website that look good. Maybe we could get them to Carlos and they could be aggregated and
topic?
distributed.
Which topic are you talking about?
I think for any topic.
Oh.
So if I understand correctly, each leader would have some information or materials that we would like to share before the retreat to the other commissioners. And for instance, Julie and Aleka will share the guidelines for solar. We agree that it will be about a week before the retreat. So the other leaders like Ken or Elliot and Marky also have a combination with Julie. Any materials you think that you would like to provide?
Lilek and I have done, okay, I'm just going to say this. I just don't have time to put that together. It's hard to find them. So, there's 2 images we have. It's really hard to find very good images showing a great use of solar panels to clarify all of the, within the document we wrote. So what I would suggest to you is that we maybe a lot like at our retreat, maybe we just have some people helping us, because I just don't have time to do that work.
I'm sorry, some people helping with.
This is the thing, let me just go back to the sustainability. Aleka and I put this report together. It's done, the city is now reviewing it. That document is going to go to the commission to be talked about at the retreat. There was a request that we provide photographs, and then the city was going to, basically cut and paste and do whatever they needed to do to reflect what in the guidelines we talk about. And I guess what I'm saying is that's a lot of work. I don't have time to do that work now. So, and Aleka, I spoke to her today. So I'm wondering if we can just continue and review the narrative that we put together at our retreat, and then we can talk about maybe somebody can like step up and help do that. That's my request, because I just don't have time to do that.
Okay, so I'm sorry, so who would step up and?
Somebody on the commission who would help us do that.
So,
Someone on the
Mark was
Preservation
just trying to, if I understand correctly,
Yeah,
Julie,
not
is that
you.
you need the graphics, right?
Somebody,
You need the graphics, correct?
the graphics, yeah, because it's.
So you have the text.
The text is done and you're
Correct.
reviewing it. I'm
So
just
what
talking
you're
about the
asking is for
graphics.
help from other commissioners to
Yeah.
get the graphics done?
Right.
Okay.
Right, exactly. And it's not like they exist and they're wonderful, like we have 3 of them, but it takes time, and I just don't have the time to do that. So, but I guess are we on track with it being, there's 2 things, Carlos, are we on track with that being reviewed by whoever in the city is reviewing it? So we get it 10 days before? That's what Kumar had said. We were going to get it to the commission 10 days before the retreat?
Right, so there's no additional revisions to what
We did?
you did.
Okay,
But what we as staff agreed to do was to get some experts on solar to come to the retreat, and then we will share with them the guidelines, so that if they have any comments, any feedback for us as the commission.
And are you successful in doing?
Kumar had already contacted 1 or 2 people,
Okay, that's great.
and I will be contacting at least 1 or 2 local installers.
And we want to, I think the idea was that we wouldn't have contractors coming, that we'd actually have somebody who had a bigger overview, so they weren't trying to sell their product.
We have both.
Okay,
We have the
great.
contractor, at least we have the overview, that's for
Great.
sure.
Yeah, that's.
Through
what-
Kumar, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, thank you.
Is there anything else we need to cover before adjourning, Carlos?
I think we need to, I'd like you guys to adopt the report for 2404 Reach. That we need to, you have until March 31st to provide your report on 2404 Reach, the denial of the economic hardship. And it was in the packet, and it's already sent to you with the revisions. So what you have to do is, I did send it this afternoon, after I received your comments.
I didn't get that.
It will be in your email.
I only got the one with the 2 versions of the minutes.
No, I sent it out.
Send that separately?
Yeah, separately.
I missed it.
Yeah, I think
Scott, it should be also with the packet, if you don't mind going to it.
It was at 6:33 PM.
Yeah.
Oh. It was at 6:30.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was already.
Yeah. I'm afraid-
I just want to make sure that you have that before the meeting, and I did it as soon as I could.
Got the one with the 2 sets of minutes.
Right. Yes, the final one is the edited one that shows all the text amendments, and it's incorporated. So the one before, I wanted you to be aware what text was changed or edited. So now this is the edited version is the final.
Okay, I see. Yeah, it just came after I'd left. I mean, it looks like the edits are all clarity in wording rather than
That's correct. And we consulted, I would say, Scott was in contact with the law department. They seem to be agreeable to the amendments or revisions that Elliot provided.
Did you ever find out who made the motion?
Yes, it was you.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay, can we approve it
Even
even?
though I was at that meeting.
So we need a motion and a vote.
Yes, because this is going to go to the council. We received the application for an appeal to the denial of the certificate of appropriateness, I believe yesterday, and, yes,
Scott's saying that.
can we meet that correct?
That's my brother.
I'm sorry, it's so many things going on.
Okay, so we need a motion to, so Elliot, since you made the original motion, can you move to approve this so we can get it, so we can adjourn?
I made that motion to
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because it said Ken had seconded it, and then when I read it, I said, who made the motion?
So we're just to approve the Preservation Commission's report.
It is the report on the denial of the certificate of appropriateness.
I move that we approve the amended version of the 2404 Ridge Avenue, well, I guess we'll call it the report regarding the hearing and consideration for the certificate of economic hardship that occurred on February 11th of 2020.
Okay, a second?
I don't know if it matters.
Second, Ken. All in favor of adopting the report, please say aye. So all were in favor. Okay, is there anything else we need to do before adjourning?
I believe we cover everything.
Okay, do we need a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay. Susie, second.
Second.
Thank you, Susie.
We're adjourning.